Hello art beaders, Becky here for artbeads.com, and I've got a brand new video for you today. Today I'm going to teach you how to do odd count peyote stitch with the method where you catch the tail thread when you turn on the stitch. I really like this method because it doesn't require any extra weaving in or out of beads, and it just goes faster for me, so I would like to share that with you. So let's dive in. Let's get started with starting an odd count peyote stitch. That one is a little different. That one's, I guess you could say, the harder version of peyote stitch, but it's really easy once you get to know it. You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to cut my thread here, and I've done about an arm span length or a yard of thread. I've got my needle. Add my thread to my needle. Okay, so we are ready. So the first two rows on this little flower ring are gold. So that makes it easy. I don't have to really think about the color pattern for the first two rows since they're all gold. All right. That's a really pretty gold. So again, you get full packs of these Ico seed beads. And the packs are really nice. You can see just there that I kind of just bent it to kind of make it an easy pour out. You can scoop them in the same way. And they close really nice, and they're really fun to kind of just stack in a little like rectangle drawer. They are easy to store, that's for sure. All right, so we have got, when you start peyote stitch, you do the first two rows. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 beads that I want to add to my thread. So I'm going to add 9 gold beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so I've got my first two rows. Now, for the way that I do odd count peyote stitch, everyone does it a little bit differently, but how I do it is I pick up the tail thread as I add rows to my peyote stitch. So if you're going to be doing it that way, you want a long enough tail to pick up the tail as you go. So it's going to need to be at least the length of your finished project, if not more. I usually overestimate on the length I'll need for a ring. You're not going to need as much length, so I think that this is going to be plenty, but just keep that in mind if you're using the technique where you pick up your tail thread as you go. So now I'm adding my third row. I'm going to move my sticky note to the third row so I know what colors to add. So first one that I'm going to add is, make sure I've got it lined up right. I'm going to add a gold. So for my next row, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pick up another seed bead in the color I need. I'm going to skip over that first seed bead and come through the next seed bead. And as you'll pull, you'll see that these two seed beads kind of stack on one another. So my next color is a turquoise. I'm going to skip over this next seed bead in the row and come through the second seed bead over. So skipping over a seed bead and going through the next seed bead. And your first rows might be a little squirrely, and that's okay. It happens to everyone. All right, I've got that blue one in place. Everything's looking nice. And then I'm going to add another blue or turquoise. So I've got my blue on my needle. I'm going to skip over that next seed bead and come through the second seed bead over. All right, I've got that second turquoise bead in place. We're going to add a third turquoise bead. So I'm going to skip over the next seed bead and come through that second seed bead over. There we are. And now we're in place to add the last bead in the row, which is a gold bead. This is where the magic of odd count peyote happens. So I've picked up my gold bead, the last bead in this row. I'm going to kind of just slide that in place. So you can see that it's in place here, but we don't have another bead to go through. So that's where the tail thread comes in. So I'm going to bring this tail thread up and around to the side of that bead I just added. And I'm actually going to catch that tail thread as I bring my needle back through the bead I just added. So my tail thread has been brought up, my working thread is under it, and now I'm going to go over it and come back through that bead I just added. Make sure my threads aren't all tangled here. There we go. Oh, I think I did it wrong. Here, let me try again. This gives me a good opportunity to show you that again. So slide that bead in place, bring your tail thread up and over the working thread, come over that tail thread to catch it and back through the bead you just added. There we go. And now you're ready to start the next row in the opposite direction. And my thread came off here, so let me put it back on. Yeah, I really like this technique. It goes by faster. Other techniques for odd count peyote, you kind of have to weave through the beads to turn around and add that last bead. But with this one, you just kind of catch the tail thread as you go. So it feels more like an even count peyote, to me at least. All right, so I'm going to move my sticky so I'm in place for the next row. All right, so I'm ready to start my next row. So now we're going to be adding in the opposite direction that we were before. And this is kind of like an even count row, so it's easier. So I just need to add a gold bead, and I'm going to come through that staggered up turquoise bead that I added in the last row. Going to add a turquoise bead, come through that next staggered up turquoise bead. So once you've got your first 3 rows in place, it's a lot easier to see like what bead you're skipping over and where you're adding. Another turquoise bead we're going to add. Turquoise, skip through, go through the next staggered up turquoise bead. And then we're going to add a gold bead here. And that's that row. So you don't have to do any special move at the end of this row. It's only on the one side of your ring. So we are ready to do the next row. And this is where we're going to start to add our little flower. So for the next row, we're going to go back that way again. So I'm going to add a gold bead for this outer edge here. I'm going to need to pour out some of my red beads here. Add a gold bead. We're doing a turquoise bead next. I'm going to come through that staggered up turquoise bead that was added in the last row. And then this is where I'm at the center. So there's a center point in odd count peyote stitch. At the center here, that's where my flower begins. So I'm going to need to add some red. pour this one out too, just so we have it ready. This gives me a good opportunity to show you the odd count turn again. All right, so we're in place to add our red. I'm gonna pick up my red. This is a great color combo too, really nice contrast on these colors. Go through that next staggered up bead. We're gonna wanna add a turquoise bead here. Go through that next staggered up bead. All right, so we're adding a gold bead as our last bead in this row. So I'm gonna pick up my gold bead. I'm going to slide it down into place. I'm gonna bring my tail thread up and over my working thread like so. And then I'm going to pass over the tail thread and back through that bead I just added. So I'm picking up the tail thread with my working thread, and that's what keeps this last bead in place on the row. See that? So I'm gonna pull, and I'm ready to start the next row. Love that technique for odd count peyote. It makes it so much easier. I feel it goes faster. I've been making these peyote stitch tapestries of King Henry VIII's wives. I really need to finish that project, and a lot of them are odd count, and just makes it so much easier to do the rows here. So we're on another easy row where it ends in even count, so you don't have to do this special turn. So I'm adding a gold. I'm going to add a red here. Going to add another red. We're completing our flower shape here in the center. And then adding a gold to finish the row. Super easy. So you can see that this works up pretty quick once you've got the technique down. So now we're going to add a gold, go back the other way. You're always passing through those staggered up beads, and my thread keeps coming off my needle. You guys ever have those days where your thread is just, it doesn't want to stay in the eye of your needle? I get that a lot, especially if I start going like super fast. There we go, back in. We want another turquoise bead. Coming up through that staggered up red that we added in the last step. And now we're adding the center of the flower. And I'm going to use this color for my center of my flower. I'm going to add a turquoise. Here's another opportunity to show you the odd count turn. This is the Desert Oasis ring kit that I'm working on now. We have other color variations that make different ring designs. They are back in stock and available now. They're all made with Toho Aiko precision cylinder seed beads, which are wonderful to work with. They line up so nicely, so uniform, and really soft to wear, which is nice. And these kits come with full bags of Toho Aiko beads. So you won't use all of the Aikos that you're getting when you make all of these rings. You'll have some left over to make some matching pieces, maybe some fun earrings, maybe another ring in a different design, all kinds of fun things. So that's how you do odd count peyote stitch. You would just keep going with the pattern like that, picking up the tail thread to make the turn on that odd count peyote stitch. Again, there are other methods for odd count peyote stitch. Cynthia does it a different way and Sherry does it a different way. We do have a video where they show you their techniques for odd count peyote stitch, and those are linked to on all of the pages, the product pages for these kits. So they're right in there in the gallery of images. So you can watch that video and see how they do odd count peyote stitch as well. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope that was helpful and inspiring. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Make sure to leave a like, and as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell for notifications so you're the first to know when videos like this are available. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.